imagine what you're going through. If you need a moment, just let me know when you take a break, all right? I want to talk about the road that you and Danny took home that night. That road was Canyon Road, right? Yeah. You actually recommended that Danny take this route home.
I knew that she went to avoid cops, and especially if we got pulled over, Vanessa's mom would just freak out.
So you recommended that you take Canyon Road to get from the bar to Vanessa's house.
Yes.
Let's talk about the conditions of that road a bit more now. When you were driving home, it was raining, right?
Yeah, it started out drizzling, but it picked up the more we drove.
It picked up quite a bit, Ms. Hopson. In your own words, it started pouring.
Yes, it did.
Canyon Road also has no lighting anywhere that lights up that road, does it?
No, the light that we saw on the road was coming from London Bennett's house.
London Bennett's house. A porch light is the only thing that lights up Canyon Road on a dark, thunderstorming night.
That's correct.
And then you approached the curve in Canyon Road.
We did.
That curve, in your own words, is dangerous.
It is. I don't think the road itself is difficult to drive on, but if you're not being careful, you can.
Well, actually, Ms. Hopson, you've told us that that road is so dangerous to any driver, it's known as the death zone.
Like I said, 2 kids from our high school died on that road.
Let's talk about when you were at the bar that morning. When you got to the bar, you were drinking yourself, right?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Your Honor, this goes to the credibility and to really paint a fair picture of what was going on that night. Opposing counsel spent a lot of time talking about what Danny was drinking and what Vanessa was. They didn't mention anything that Taylor was having to drink.
May I respond? Whether or not Taylor Hopson was driving that night, it does not come into question today. Danielle Dawson was the one that was driving this evening, and that's why it's relevant under her character witness. However, it's not under Taylor Hopson.
Your Honor, we're not actually going into whether or not Taylor was driving. What we're talking about right now is whether or not she was drinking that night. That directly goes to the credibility of her testimony.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
You two were drinking that night, right?
I had some screwdrivers.
Screwdrivers. You had 3 or 4?
I did.
Just to clarify for us, Ms. Hopson, screwdriver, that's orange juice and vodka, right?
Yes.
And after a few screwdrivers, you got a bit dizzy.
I did. I'm kind of a lightweight, so I switched to tea 20 minutes before the band came on, so I'd have plenty of time to clear my head.
Ms. Hopson, I want to be sure I really understand circumstances at the bar that night. You yourself, you weren't with Danny start to finish, were you?
No, like I said, there were 2 times that I left. I went to the bathroom, and Danny went to the bar.
And on your direct examination, you talked a lot about empty glasses, ending up in front of Danny. I want to make sure I understand you right. You never saw Danny drink the drinks that ended up being empty in front of her, did you?
I did see her drink some of them.
But the ones that weren't ordered for her, you yourself never saw her drink them.
No, I can only assume that she was the one who drank them.
Let's talk about when you weren't able to actually see Danny. For a while, you were singing up on stage, right? Well, while you were singing, Danny wasn't your focus. You weren't looking at Vanessa and Danny the entire time you were singing, were you?
No, I mean, I tried to keep an eye on the table, but...
Yeah, but because it was dark, you couldn't really see him, could you?
Not very clearly, but I can see the general area of the table.
You couldn't see what they were doing.
No.
You couldn't hear what they were talking about.
No.
Another time where you were away from Danny and Vanessa was when you took a bathroom break during the break of the concert. While you were waiting in line to use the restroom, you weren't watching Danny the entire time, were you?
No, I was in the bathroom.
Danny wasn't your focus. You don't know what she was doing.
No.
But what you do know is that a little after midnight, you guys leave the bar with Danny planning to get behind the wheel.
That's correct.
You told us that Danny's breath reeked of alcohol. Let me ask you this, Miss Hopson. You would not have let your best friend get in the car with Danny if you knew she wasn't okay to drive, would you?
I shouldn't have. I have trouble saying no to Vanessa, and Vanessa said she could leave her car there.
I'm sorry, Miss Hopson. My question might have been unclear. You would never let your friend get in a car with someone driving that you didn't think was okay to drive, would you?
Vanessa said that Danny was fine.
You would never let your friend get in a car with someone who was drunk, would you?
No. I didn't. I didn't know.
And because of that, you and Vanessa got in the car with Danny driving home that night.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Hopson. No further questions, Your Honor.